Hello everyone, and thanks for coming to the channel. We will talk about the dark side of Japan's cruel workforce for a while today. The Japanese work ethic is really impressive, and their work standards are always ranked as some of the best in the world. The vast majority of them are pretty good standards. Still, the working world in Japan isn't perfect in every way. In fact, there is a lot that is wrong and causes problems, and this excellent work performance has caused a huge loss of work-life balance. We are amazed by the great things about Japanese monozukuri, like the Japanese standard pointing and calling, the Japanese supermarket checkout, Toyotas and Denso's relentless quest for lot size 1, Japanese multidimensional problem solving, and even lean in the Japanese public toilet. People all over the world look up to many of these people as role models, but just like in every other society, not everything is good enough. Japan's society is getting older quickly, which is a big problem because it has the most old people per person of any country in the world. Also, Japan has the largest amount of public debt in the world, which is more than double the country's GDP. Poor Greece has only 180%. Still, the work-life balance is one of the worst in the first world, and that will be the main topic of this video. One thing that might be hard is that Japanese society puts a lot of pressure on people to fit in. These are the social rules, and they are explained in far more detail than almost anywhere else. Most of the time, when Japanese people talk to each other, they act as if the queen were there. A simple example: if you don't want to look like an idiot, you need to know a lot of different rules when doing something like exchanging business cards. Even if you only break one of these rules, you will look unpolished and unprofessional. And this is just one very small example of how strict Japanese social norms can be. Even Japanese people who have lived somewhere else for a while and then moved back to Japan have trouble adjusting to their old lives. For example, if we know a Japanese woman who works for a Japanese company outside of Japan, it would take her a week to decide what to wear to the office when she visited the company's headquarters in Japan. Even if you're wearing a standard business suit, there are many ways to stand out and look different. Another person who left Japan for a long time and then came back has found that it is almost impossible to live there now. It's easy to think that life in Japan is one big tea ceremony where everything has to be done exactly the way the rules say. When you are not from the country, you don't really care about this kind of pressure. The second important factor is that people often have to work long hours. Officially, the work week in Japan is 40 hours long, but 22% of the workforce puts in 50 hours or more per week, compared to 11% in the US and 6% in Spain. Some workers put in even more hours than that. It is possible to work 100 hours in a week, and that doesn't even count the time spent commuting, which takes, on average, 40 minutes each way. But it is not uncommon to spend 2 hours doing so. The US average is 25 minutes. It also doesn't cover the almost always necessary drinking parties that take place after work. At least, this last thing is starting to change, as a growing number of younger workers either choose not to join or ask for more money if they have to. After the end of the Second World War, the US government took over Japan and started setting up worker unions that were similar to those in the US. On the other hand, it didn't take long for the Communist Party to take over these unions. Around 1950, McCarthy and his McCarthyism witch hunt against communists were in full swing. And the last thing the US wanted to see was communist unions in Japan. Because of this, Japan's laws were changed in a way that took power away from unions. Unions have no political power in modern Japan. Every business has its own union, which is mostly made up of the managers and other people in charge. It shouldn't be surprising that they don't do much to improve the lives of regular employees. Japan's work weeks are usually pretty long, and the country has never had the kind of labor unrest that could have shortened them. The Japanese also have a small number of vacation days, and even fewer of them are actually used. In today's culture, taking a vacation is seen as quitting your job. If you take more than 3 days off in a row, people will look down on you. A lot of people who work in Japan would have hundreds of vacation days if they didn't lose their value after a certain number of days. The tight schedule and long hours make it hard to find a good balance between work and personal life. Most of an adult's working life in Japan is spent working, with short periods of sleep here and there. You hardly ever have time to talk to your husband. You never have enough time to play with your kids. You never have enough time or energy for hobbies. And you never have enough time to rest. It seems like Japanese laborers never stop working, and I often get the feeling that they don't really have a life outside of work. Of course, this isn't true for everyone in Japan, and some have jobs that let them have a life outside of work. But a lot of Japanese people, especially office workers, are stuck in this rat race. Some children have asked their mothers about a strange man sleeping in their house, only to find out that it was their father, who they hadn't seen in so long that they had forgotten him. I've also met a lot of men and women in their 40s who want to settle down and start a family, but don't have time to go on dates. So it's possible, especially for the women, that it will never happen. Because of the effects, it's becoming more and more unpleasant to work in Japan's business sector. Long hours, almost no free time, and not much personal freedom most of the time. Japan is ranked 51st out of 155 countries on the World Happiness Index for 2016. This puts it a long way behind other wealthy countries. Norway is ranked first, the United States is ranked 14th, and Germany is ranked 16th. Because of how often people die from stress and overwork at work, the Japanese have a word for it, karoshi. Most of the time, people kill themselves, but it could also be a heart attack or stroke. Consider the case of a 24-year-old woman who killed herself because she was depressed. She had worked 105 hours of overtime the month before, which is likely what made her feel that way. During the fiscal year that ended in March 2016, 93 deaths from overwork were confirmed by the health ministry. However, police records show that work-related stress caused 2,159 deaths. Because work is always there in Japan, many people don't know what to do when they have some free time. People who are retired often keep working because they don't know what else to do. When a couple never learns how to talk to each other or live together, the number of marriages that end in divorce goes up. This makes us very sad because Japan has all the things that make a society happy, like peace, stability, a strong economy, and good health. On the other hand, life at work is pretty sad because of the long hours and the limits that society puts on people. There's no doubt that not everyone in Japan is depressed. There is also a great deal of happiness. Still, it's harder to be happy at work in the US than in most other countries. We hope that you enjoy your job and that you work so that you can live, not so that you can live so that you can work. Now go out and have fun. You could even leave work early today and hang out with your friends. The next day, you'll feel refreshed and ready to organize your industry. Thanks for watching. We'll see you soon.